Alright guys, so today we're going to be doing something a bit different from the last video about the F88 Aussteiger. That kind of blew up a little bit. Thanks for all your comments and shares and whatnot. Today, however, we're going to be looking at probably our closest allies, our cousins, a New Zealand soldier by the name of Willie Apiata, who won the Victoria Cross. I think he was probably the first Anzac soldier and to win it in Afghanistan, and by that I mean he won it before any Australians did. Of course, there's been plenty of Australians, and we'll cover them as we go on later on with other videos. I would like to point out the cool shirt that I've been given by a New Zealand infantryman that deployed to East Timor. It's pretty cool. But yeah, without any further ado, let's get into what Willie did and why he won the award. Alright guys, so as always, big ups to the original provider of the content, NH6 Mill History. I'll chuck a link down below for you to go to reach them, but I think the original story comes from 60 Minutes New Zealand. So hopefully they don't copyright us, but I think we should be right. One point to note is I have read Willie's book. One thing to notice, I've come to learn with most Victoria Cross winners is they've all had a hard childhood, or they've all lived through hard circumstances, or had some sort of roadblock in their life that led up to them winning the Victoria Cross. Without any further ado, let's get into it and see what Willie has to say. Very humble man too.
For a man who's received such adulation, there's still a lot we don't know about Corporal Willie Apiata, VC. And that's just the way he likes it. Last year, when he received the Victoria Cross for valour, he was a most reluctant hero, forced into the spotlight. In fact, it's only now, 12 months on, that he's really prepared to let us into his life. So, take a good look. It may be the last time you see him for a while.
I'll just stop it there and just say that I think that's one of the reasons why. I mean, there's probably so many acts of bravery that deserve medals, whether it's a Medal of Gallantry, Victoria Cross. There's probably a lot more that happens. I think the soldiers that win the Victoria Crosses are reluctant, especially when they're special forces, to take the medal, as it might mean they won't be able to work in that field again. Special forces obviously are identity protected. Yeah, so that pretty much means that their identity is not protected anymore, and they might not be able to do the same role. Willie, and I know a few others have gone back into the same role. Mark Donaldson did, but yeah, let's continue on.
He's going to retreat back into the shadows of the SAS and become the unknown soldier once more.
Everything in here is the best place to hit, because one, you're taking out his
Apologies, dog.
It's not easy convincing Willie Apiata he should do an interview with me.
Put their knife up to the throat.
And don't think...
I can't help but think of Detroit Herbal Surviving Training here. Probably listen to Willie, don't listen to the dust instructor, or you're probably going to get yourself killed.
A knife to his throat could do it.
The best way is to cause a distraction. Hey, don't do that, man. Then you reach up with your hand.
Hey, don't do that, man.
But for someone who spent a lot of time in front of the cameras this past year, he's never seemed more relaxed than he is today, showing me some of the tricks of his trade.
And the first thing you want to do is get your body offline. You pushed it out to the side, you grasp it, you take it up in the air, and when you bring it down, the barrel's pointing at him instead of...
These skills are second nature to an...
Unless you're in combat in Afghanistan or combat anywhere with the military in it, just hand over your stuff. It's not worth risking. You're probably not as well trained as an SAS soldier. Yeah.
elite soldier. They need to be for survival.
How's your day going, Mike? Push it out, bang, up. And, you know...
You'd feel pretty safe with him around.
Guys don't really step out on the battlefield to fight for Queen and country and all of that. It's usually for their mates that are standing right next to them.
I have to stop that there and say that as cliche as it sounds, is when you are in the shit or something's happening, so much of it's instinctive, and you realise that you're there protecting your mates, and so much of your training is to protect your mates. And yeah, 100% hit the nail on the head there, especially for Willie, being such a humble guy.
Plenty of juice coming out of it, eh? So you can feel it definitely when it touches your... So, yeah,
In amongst the close quarter battle training, we also begin to see another side of Willie's personality. He's the joker.
We can't let the cameraman miss out, eh? That's the one. See, now we're hanging over there. Don't look down, just keep looking straight ahead. Happy? How's it feel?
I have to stop it here and say that the first time I did this, I think I was in military cadets or something. Nothing special, but my legs just went to jelly, you know, backing off a building like that.
Now
I don't think happy is a word I'd use, but I'm here.
no worries. Now we'll just slowly...
But he's also an incredibly calming influence. He has that rare quality, a mix of confidence and humility.
And then what we'll do from there is slowly walk down.
Not arrogance.
Now start moving the feet slowly
Which
down.
is good.
That's the one.
Otherwise, with my fear of heights, it would have been impossible to get me up this tower, let alone down again.
It's not too bad, eh?
Hey, I'm doing.
The boy who grew up in the tiny east coast town of Te Kaha, sole brother to 3 sisters, lived his life outdoors, hunting, fishing, all the things that come with rural living.
If you're interested in more of that stuff as his childhood, definitely read his book. I think it's just titled Willie Apiata. Yeah, he goes into great detail about hunting, fishing, surviving in the bush. It's a pretty good read.
Quietly amassing the skills that would one day make him an outstanding soldier.
I was just loving life on the farm,
There we go.
gathering, learning from the old man. And yeah, I think it just gave you a bit of survival. Eh? The old man always said, you know, appreciate what's in your backyard, because when times get hard out there, you always know you got something.
The army seemed a good fit for Willie, and after years with the Territorials and
I think he describes how he joined was he saw some Territorials or the reserve soldiers on way to training one night, and they just asked if he wanted to jump in, and he jumped in the car and off he went. And he was underage and wasn't officially in, but he started training with them. It's a cool story. I think he did a trip to East Timor too, which they're probably going to say in a minute.
tour of duty to East Timor,
Yeah, there we go.
he decided he wanted to be an elite soldier.
For the next 9 months, you'll conduct yourself around this camp in double quick time. You will run everywhere.
The recent documentary series, First Among Equals, shows graphically just how difficult it is to make New Zealand's SAS. On Willie's first attempt, he didn't make the grade.
I was quite burnt, eh? You know, no person likes to fail. And, you know, I wasn't totally prepared, so, you know,
So that is interesting. If anybody from New Zealand, or anyone that knows, matter of fact, I know in the Australian SAS, I had a mate that he did the selection twice. First time he finished the course, but they didn't want him in. Second time he got in. I know that if you withdraw yourself because it's too hard, you can't come back. But if you're medically withdrawn, you can come back. Obviously worked with Willie, who's a great soldier, and it won the Victoria Cross for them. Another note to point is they're wearing a sandy beret, same as the UK SAS and the Aussie SAS. There's probably a few other countries that wear it. I can't remember off the top of my head.
went home quite disheartened, eh? But the second time, eh, I was well prepared for that one.
To do selection twice
There was no
is-
way that I was going to come home.
There can be
Yeah.
few jobs ever that have such a grueling selection process. The
Yeah.
elation that you must have felt when you have made that.
Yeah, you know, if it was easy, I suppose everybody would be in the SAS, or the SAS. But hey, it's like that for a reason, and the guys that made it through really want to be here. That's why they made it.
New Zealand Special Air Service bureaus are presented to those personnel who have...
And when they've made it, their arrival into New Zealand's Special Forces unit
I think that's a cool thing about SAS is, while the UK is probably seen as the most senior and probably the better of the, Australian, New Zealand SAS, we're all somewhat similar trained, similar morals, similar ethics, similar culture, and we all fought together in World War One and Two, and that's where they come from. So yeah.
Is recognised by the presentation of a distinctive beige beret and blue belt, a ceremony known as badging.
It was a very proud moment, not just for myself, but for my family too. I'll never forget the first day, when we were getting the day of the badging. My mum pulls out a camera and goes, "Stand there, son, I'll just take a picture." And I was like, "No," you know,
Get
because
the black bar.
it's something we've been, you know, photos are very foreign to us to have our picture taken. Well, it's not anymore, but
And that's what I was alluding to before, being protected identity. They don't usually have their faces. They're not usually on 60 Minutes. And Willie's a humble enough guy anyway. I don't blame him for coming on 60 Minutes and representing his unit and his unit's actions.
just for me anyway. But,
And how was she about that?
and she's like, "It'll be all right, son." And I said, "No." You know, so it was hard for them to get used to you know, being up here.
But they knew that this was a major thing for you, didn't they? They knew.
Oh, yeah, they did. Especially my mum. She's, you know, if there's people who've asked if there was a hero in my life, yeah, she's it.
She was one tough woman.
But she
Chinook.
may not have realised just how soon she'd have to farewell his son. Days later, he was given his first assignment.
Days later. Wonder how many days exactly. That's a pretty fast turnaround. I mean, we're not dealing with an average infantryman. They are the elite, but still, that's pretty quick.
To Afghanistan. It was there that a single act of bravery would become
Look at him.
part of New Zealand folklore. An SAS patrol was ambushed by Taliban fighters. Willie's
These are the same. That looks more like a Humvee, but I know early on they used LRPVs, long-range patrol vehicles, similar to what they first developed in World War II. Only Taliban counteracted using these. But using IEDs and these gun trucks, LRPVs just couldn't handle that. Especially with the ambushes, they're very open. I think a lot of special forces teams went to Bushmasters, including New Zealand.
vehicle struck by a rocket, critically injuring the commander.
Jeez.
Willie carried him to safety, running 70 metres through enemy fire to get vital medical assistance. He then rearmed and went back to help successfully fend off the Taliban attack.
So 70 metres doesn't sound like a lot there, but when you've got probably 50 kilos of gear, someone on top of you, under fire, that's an extraordinary feat. And to run back as well. That's the end of part 1, so we'll load up part 2. For you it'll be seconds, for me it'll probably be a minute, but we'll be back. Alright, so as I said, it'll be seconds for you guys, but about to get into the crux of the story, how he won the VC and his thoughts on winning it. I suppose we'll see his life afterwards. Let's have a look.
Just looking after our mates, that's all. It was just, you know, you never know when it's going to happen. And probably happen when you least expect it, but you just pray you do the right thing when it happens.
Do you think you were lucky?
Oh yeah, very lucky.
He's so humble. I mean, I don't know what it's like to fight in an elite unit like the SAS in Afghanistan, but on my deployments, he's right. Things just become instinctive. You never know when something's going to happen. When it does, you've got to just be like that and trust your mates. Again, nowhere near on the level of this guy or this unit, but I understand that. You know, you do. At the end of the day, you're doing things for your mates, to get your mates through, to get your mates to survive. Everything else sort of goes out the window, and you're focused on what you're doing, what your mate's doing, and what you need to get done.
Well, I think it's a blessing, that no one got killed that day, and that all of us who stepped on that earth over in Afghanistan all came home.
Corporal Apiata joins a select group of individuals to recognise distinguished and prominent personal gallantry regardless of rank or station.
His act of bravery would earn him the Victoria Cross. And last year, Willie Apiata became the first New Zealander to be awarded that honour since the Second World War. Amongst the...
I think he's still the first Victoria Cross winner to win. I don't think there's been a second one. I really hope I'm right there. If not, I'm going to get grilled. But let me know either way. If I do find out, I'll add a footnote to the video. Such a humble man, though.
Dignitaries. A voice that meant the most. I think any dad in the world would know how that must have felt.
Oh yes, even though he's so young, I still wanted to have him there, because it's a once in a lifetime moment he'll get to share with his father.
It was a moment we all wanted to share in too, but it was unfamiliar territory, from private SAS soldier to public property.
Just the media itself, again, I don't want to claim to be anywhere or have gone through anything near what Willie has, but doing media training, it's very, very daunting. They ask you lots of questions, no matter what you answer, they'll try and prod to get the answer they want. Sure, it would have been different with Willie, but he still would have had to watch his words. And being from the SAS, such a reclusive unit, it'd be very foreign to him.
I was as nervous as hell. I didn't know what to expect when I walked through that door, and it was quite scary actually. Yeah, you know, all the cameras flashing and all of that. You know, the only flashing I've seen is from a flashbang, and it makes a loud noise. But you know, every time I see the old cameras flashing, going off all the time, it just reminds me of those.
There had
What's he using there? People that
new
know
public
lots about
profile
guns, let me
might
know.
mean the end of his SAS career, but he and his commander
Soft Glock.
felt otherwise. Willie leads a lot of training courses and remains an active member of the unit, and it's not hard to see why.
It's basically like a sawn-off version of those two weapons you've just seen.
Right.
It's got no stop.
MP5,
Willie
no
is a
stop.
highly skilled elite soldier. Next to him, I look like an airport baggage handler.
I had to even stand up on this thing, let alone...
I mean, that's one thing I don't think civilians understand. Anyone that's been in the military will know how heavy the gear weighs. People are honestly quite shocked when they put on body armour or webbing or a pack. And when you add all three together, it's heavy.
Look at it.
Talented though Willie is,
Up.
he has his work cut out for him.
It's got to fall off. Keep shooting it.
But he gently perseveres. And we pretty much get there in the end.
Hang on, I've got to laugh at that. Isn't that
Much
legit?
get there in the end.
Pistol shooting is difficult. I found it very difficult. Yeah, anything further than this, it was hard. Well, for me anyway. I'm not a special forces soldier.
I was at Te Kaha when the hero Willie returned home to his people. It was a moving and historic event.
I have to stop here. I think the haka. I think this is the haka. When I was in East Timor, we got to do the haka alongside New Zealand soldiers, the Maoris and other New Zealanders. And there's something beautiful about it and so spiritual about it. And for them to let us do it with them was quite intriguing. On Anzac Day as well. It's a sign of respect that warriors give to each other when doing the handover, takeover these days sort of thing, or in football matches and stuff like that. But originated, yeah, from the Maori Wars. I think, again, don't grill me if I'm wrong.
Their pride was obvious that day. Why are you guys here today?
To celebrate Willie Apiata's Victoria Cross.
It was in Te Kā I kept hearing about Willie's humility, and I wondered how he would cope with his newfound fame. A good mate of his, former Māori All Black Matua Parkinson, told me Willie would take it in his stride.
He's quite grounded, he's really grounded, so he's just keeping his head down and, just being the humble guy that he is, and I guess that's the best thing you can do, you don't want to let it go to your head, otherwise there's plenty of people that can chop you down.
If anything, though, Willie is facing the opposite problem. There's a thick file of public requests for him and a constant demand for information. That's led to the publishing of a biography, which, for a member of the SAS, is unexpectedly revealing.
People out there want to know who I am, where I'm from, and a little bit about me, and maybe for me to get a bit of peace or peace of mind. Hopefully, this is the way to fulfil that.
Because you've actually given quite a bit of yourself in the book.
Yes, no, I have, yeah. Especially those photos of me when I was little.
That's why I wanted to do this video, is because he's probably one of the most humble VC winners Australia New Zealand seen. His book is great too, and yeah, I can't speak high enough of him.
Oh, fantastic.
Can we take those out? Yeah.
It's hoped the book and this interview will satisfy that public appetite for Willie. He wants to move away from the spotlight for a while.
I was a soldier first, and I still have my own goals, my own career, and things that I want to achieve in my life, and be a father to my son. But when I'm ready, and when I've achieved what I want to achieve, I will give back to the people, because
I think you've given enough, mate.
all the knowledge I was given is just a gift. It wasn't mine to keep.
Well, you've had a lot to deal with, haven't you? I mean, this is instant fame. It's instant recognition, adulation. I mean, it came at a time when I guess a lot of people say we needed a hero, and you stepped into the breach. I mean, it can't be easy wandering around with that tag all the time.
Yeah, well, I find it the hardest thing in my life at the moment is trying to be me. Because I have a responsibility now that I have to live up to.
Not only a responsibility, but something pretty big to live up to. To earn a Victoria Cross, it can't be easy. I mean, you've done the job, and all respect and power to him, but at the same time, you would feel like you need to live up to it, I imagine. Yeah, but as I said, he definitely deserves it. Lost for words.
It's a huge thing to be put on somebody's shoulders, and I'm doing my best. That's all I can say.
Right, we're going to auto now. Now it's just
see how
short
this guy
bursts.
goes.
Now try not to let the weapon climb up, as she'll tend to want to go up,
Not a bad shot. Alright, we'll stop it there. What did we learn? Willie, probably one of the most humble soldiers, one of the most humble Victoria Cross winners I've ever come across. Never met him, would love to. Read his book. If you haven't read it, go and buy it. Read the audio book if you buy a copy of it. Yeah, don't know what Willie's up to these days. I have seen him in pictures with Australian and UK Victoria Cross and King George Cross winners. I think he's doing alright. But yeah, I think we might do a few more VC winners from that era in coming videos. try and mix it up a bit, but I think it's good to get these stories out there, especially guys like this that are so humble and don't get out themselves. Yeah, thanks for watching. Hit up my Discord down below if you have any videos you'd like me to see. There's also my Twitch there. I do some gaming. I'll put NH6 up Mill History's link there. And yeah, thanks for watching. See you, diggers.